Hey, Dirt Farmer Jay here from DirtFarmerJay.com. If you like growing your own food but haven't started to raise your own garlic, you got to give it a try. I'm going to walk you through the process. The season for planting is coming up, and I'm going to show you from last year to the current result. Hey, stick around. Hey, Dirt Farmer Jay here from DirtFarmerJay.com. Dirt Farmer Maggie and I really enjoy growing our own garlic, and this is kind of like a generic garlic. In this episode, though, I'm going to walk through some of the basic types of garlic, the cultivation practice. It is really easy to grow, and then what you do to harvest it. Now, this is the end result of a raised bed that's about 4 foot by 8 foot, and there's a bucket full of the garlic there that we had let sun dry in the field after we partially pulled it, and this is the end result. And I'm going to show you here how to process it further, but let's walk through the growing, the type first of garlics there are, and then also we'll give you kind of like a jump shot through time from last season to current right now that you can see the different steps that we took. So the first thing you need is your seed garlic. Now, we're going to kind of jump back and forth and time travel a bit here. Last year, I selected out some of the bigger cloves of garlic, or bulbs. So here's a bulb. That's a bulb. Each of the section in is called a clove. So as you see in here, there's some smaller ones. Notice the difference in size. And these are genetically sensitive. So smaller cloves out of smaller bulbs are going to tend to grow more of this size, whereas if you use larger sections or cloves out of the bulb and use this as your planting stock for next year, then you're going to tend to get larger garlic. So first thing we do when we come to this time of year is select out some of our seed stock for next year, and you're going to get somewhere between 8 and 11, something like that, plants out of each one of these. So we're going to hold some of that back. Now let's time travel back to last fall. Where we live in the western United States, the time to plant garlic is somewhere around October, November, late September, that sort of thing. And it's actually grown over winter. It overwinters just fine. Where we get a lot of snow in the winter, I've seen the garlic just standing proud of the snow, almost saying, is this the best you got? Is that all you can throw at me? Because garlic has its own antifreeze type of properties in it. So it'll flourish as long as you got the garlic in early enough that it got anchorage through its root structure so it doesn't heave when the soil freezes. All right, so let's take a look at how this all began last fall. Here we're preparing our bed. We've got our bed prepared and we're putting rows of garlic in. You can look down in the description below that'll show you typical spacing. And we're gonna put our garlic in, and we did it in furrows. We planted, pushed it down, covered it over, got it watered in. Now you can see the garlic starting to emerge. It's loving life. It's a loose planting mix that's in there, a lot of organic material to give plenty of space for the root mass to go down. Like onion, the root mass is pretty compact, so you want to make sure that what you're growing in, it'll readily allow that root to get into it, and this provides anchorage. If this doesn't anchor well and you've got this starting as a clove and the ground freezes, this will heave out and you'll actually see them hanging on by their roots. And I even had a few do that. I gently went out and parted the soil around it, broke it up a little bit, dug in, and then pushed it down in, recovered it. And I did that a couple different times. But it was just fine. All of those grew to maturity just fine. All right, now we see the garlic emerging, and then it stays growing over the winter. Come springtime, it starts to really take off. And you can lightly fertilize. I use something that's got a good amount of nitrogen in it because you want to get some good top growth. But a general purpose where all three numbers are the same, like a 10, 10, 10, 15, 15, 15, is just fine to side dress. Whenever you put fertilizer on the surface of soil, though, you want to water it in right away as the UV from the sunlight will quickly degrade fertilizer. It's like throwing away a percentage of your fertilizer. So get it watered in to get it down in to the soil mass where the garlic can take it up and make use of it in building further plant tissues. What's going to happen? It'll continue to grow. You can mulch these. We use grass clippings around it or shredded up leaf mass and that sort of thing around this to suppress weeds, to moderate the soil temperature, and to keep moisture more even throughout the day around the bulb. So we don't smother them. We kind of bring it up around to like that on mulch and mulch the bed. Now, as the season progresses, the garlic is going to tell you when it's ready to harvest. It'll start to turn this straw color. There'll be partial green in it. Some of the necks will start to fall over. And when you see about 25% of them falling over, this is kind of, it's not a science, it's kind of a best estimate. Then what I do is if this is in the ground, I go through and roll these out to break the bond between the soil and the root mass, and we lay them out and cross them over on top of each other and let them feel dry in place under the sun for 3 or 4 days. Now, if you have rain in the forecast, you want to get them out of there because you don't want to get them all saturated again because you invite mold or rot. So when you pull these over and do this, now you let them dry, and now we've collected them in a bucket. Now, let's back up just a little bit here. There's two other things, or two types of garlic I need to mention to you. Hardneck and Softneck. This is a Softneck garlic. As you can see, it's pliable, it's dry, but it's Softneck, and these tend to store a lot longer than Hardneck. What's the trade-off? Hardnecks tend to be, let's say, more flavor intense. Some people think it's strong or pungent, but for garlic aficionados, there are some garlic varieties out there, the Hardnecks, that are really hold up well in the cooking and the baking process, so they're worth considering. Both grow using the same cultivation practices. However, when it comes to this time right here, Hardneck is brittle. It doesn't dry off right in here. It has a stem that emanates from the middle of the bulb, so it doesn't store as well as a Softneck is. A Softneck also, if I hadn't dried them to this level and there's still a little bit of green in them, this is braidable. You can literally braid these in triads and put a whole braid, hang them with a nice loop in your pantry area, or let's suppose your mudroom, wherever you want to access garlic. And when you need a bulb of garlic with some cloves, you just go out with a pair of scissors, cut them off right there, and this until the whole braid is done. When you're done with the braid, you can bust it apart, throw it in the compost pile, and have the whole thing start again. So that's the difference between Hardneck and Softneck. I've listed some common varieties in the description down below to give you a start, as well as some typical locations. I have not dealt with most of these. They're just ones that I found that at least give you a start on your research to know where you can buy your seed stock. Now that we're here to current day, I'm just going to show you really quickly how to process these. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to put these in mesh bags. All right, let's get started. So in this process, since we're not going to braid them, we're going to use these mesh bags. And these mesh bags are really for onions, but they work really well for ventilation, of keeping these dry and letting air move them to reduce spoilage. These were actually bought from Dixondale Farms. And Dixondale Farms is the U.S.'s #1 onion grower. And so we grow onion starts from them, and this is the kind of bag that we put those onions in. More on that in a little bit, but let's go ahead and show you how you process this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these nice bulbs here. And as you can see, there's a papery skin on it. That drying process has allowed the neck to compress and seal off what's inside of here to resist moisture and rot getting down into this. One of the #1 reasons why these tend to store longer. So as you can see, there's a lot of paper on this. I'm just going to take the paper and rub it off. And by so doing, I'm kind of cleaning the bulb. You see right there? I got this really pretty white bulb. Okay, now the thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a pair of garden snips, and I don't want to snip all the way down like that because I'd be too close, but if I raise up a little bit and just trim that off, now I have that. And that'll store just great. Now, I've trimmed off a lot of the paper on the outside. Now I just need to get rid of the root mass. And again, you don't want to trim real flush so to compromise the protection to the whole clove here or the whole bulb. So what I'm going to do is just take the scissors, move it away just a little bit like that, and we'll just start trimming that off. And there you go. And now I have this really nice bulb of garlic with the root mass clipped off of it. I can take a little bit more paper if I want to. You don't want to keep rubbing off too much because the individual cloves will start falling out of the bulb. But there we have something really nice. So now we're just going to just start putting these in the bag and filling this up a whole thing like this. Again, if you get it early on, though, you can braid, and I'll actually put a link in the description down below, or a couple of just some demonstrations of braiding that we found to be helpful that next year we hope to do so. So I'm just going to work through this whole thing, and I wish you could smell the aroma. There's this very soft, pleasing, garlicky smell. It's not offensive. Matter of fact, it makes me want to go get some lasagna or something. This has really got this nice cooking, culinary scent to it. So we're just going to work through the bucket, create our whole bag of these, and we'll probably give away some of these bulbs to our friends over at the Women's Center a half-mile away from us for their culinary use as well, because this is some great quality garlic. Check out the links below that tell you some other varieties where to go. I know you're going to enjoy growing your own garlic, and if you're not growing your own onions, you got to do it. Check out this video where we show you our source for onion starts and how to get them planted and enjoy a great onion harvest that'll make you the envy of the neighborhood. And while you're at it, check out this other video where we tell you how to make your own dehydrator using a bakery rack. You'll love it. It's a solar dehydrator, and you can dry all sorts of things from your garden and vineyard. You're going to enjoy it. Hey, until the next time, this is Dirt Farmer Jay getting ready to go process a great batch of homegrown garlic.